You ever feel like you're doing everything right with your money, but you're just not getting ahead? Well, chances are you're caught in a few sneaky financial traps you don't even see. So today, we're going to break down 5 of the biggest wealth killers and the simple rules to escape them, all based on the fantastic insights from investor and author Phil Town.
So let me ask you, what do you think is the #1 thing holding you back from hitting your financial goals? Do you think it's not earning enough money? Or maybe one big bad decision you made years ago?
Well, according to Phil Town, the real enemy for most of us isn't some giant mistake. Nope, it's the small, almost invisible habits. These are the financial traps we stumble into every single day. Think of them like tiny leaks in a bucket that, over time, drain away our ability to build any real wealth.
All right, let's dive into trap #1, spending money just to keep up appearances for social status. And it often starts with 2 huge purchases. The first one, the car. Phil Town actually learned this lesson the hard way. After a big win early in his career, what was the first thing he did? He ran out and bought a brand new Jaguar just to prove to everyone that he'd made it.
He wanted to look successful. And you know what? For about 2 weeks, people noticed. They were like, wow, nice car. But after that, crickets. Nobody cared. He was just stuck with this insanely expensive asset that was bleeding value every single day. And that's the real lesson, isn't it? Buying stuff to impress people is a total waste. Mostly because the people you're trying to impress, they're probably not even paying attention.
So let's talk about the cold, hard numbers for a second. We all know a new car loses value, but do you know how fast it actually happens? It's one of the fastest depreciating assets you could possibly own.
I mean, it's just staggering. In the very first year, your shiny new car loses about 30% of its value. Gone. And by the end of year 3, half, literally half, of what you paid for it has just vanished into thin air. The car still runs great, looks great, but your money is gone.
So what's the smarter play here? It's simple. Buy a car that's about 3 years old. You get a vehicle that's still in fantastic shape, but you let the first owner take that massive 50% depreciation hit. That is a huge amount of cash you've just saved, money that you can now put to work for you by investing it.
Now for the second part of the social status trap, over-leveraging on your house. This is a classic. You go to the bank, they approve you for some huge eye-popping number, and what do? You take every single dollar to buy that dream house, stretching your finances right to the breaking point.
And that single decision can set off a really dangerous domino effect. Suddenly, you're house rich, but cash poor. There's nothing left over for an emergency fund, let alone investing. So when life happens, and it always does, right? A job loss, a medical bill, you have zero cushion. You're forced to take on even more debt just to survive, and that's when things can spiral out of control fast.
Okay, so we've talked about the big, flashy purchases, but trap #2 is all about the small stuff, the expenses we barely even think about. I'm talking about those daily leaks, like eating out way too often. We tell ourselves, oh, it's just one meal, it's not a big deal. But let's look at the actual numbers here, shown in Taibot just as an example. Let's say your food budget at home is about $200 a day, or $6,000 a month. Well, just eating dinner out every day can easily jump that cost to $500 a day or $15,000 a month. That's 2.5 times more expensive. You're leaking an extra $9,000 from your budget from that one little habit.
Now look, the solution here isn't to become a hermit and never enjoy a restaurant again. It's just about having control. And Phil Town suggests a really simple, kind of old-school trick, the cash envelope. At the beginning of the month, you decide what you can afford to spend on restaurants, you put that exact amount of cash in an envelope, and when the envelope is empty, you're done for the month. It's a super simple, physical way to keep yourself honest.
Which brings us perfectly to our next big leak, and it's a monster. Trap #4, consumer credit card debt. Phil Town calls it the worst kind of debt ever invented. And his description is just perfect. He says it's like a snake eating its own tail. It's this vicious, self-perpetuating cycle that is just incredibly hard to break free from.
And why is it so hard to escape? Well, it all comes down to the interest rates. We are not talking about a mortgage rate of 5 or 6% here. We're talking about high-end credit card interest that can soar as high as 25% a year. It is a massive financial anchor designed specifically to keep you trapped.
And this is why you just can't invest your way out of this kind of debt. Think about it. Even if you're a really good investor and you're earning a solid 10% return in the market, your debt is growing at more than double that speed. You are losing money way faster than you could ever hope to make it. It is, quite literally, an unwinnable race.
So we've talked a lot about the traps you fall into by spending money.
But this final trap, and honestly, it might be the most dangerous one of all, isn't something you do, it's something you don't do. It's the trap of inaction.
You know, so many people treat investing like it's some kind of get-rich-quick scheme, a 100-meter dash to the finish line. But the truth is, building real, lasting wealth, the kind that gives you financial freedom, it's a marathon. It takes consistency and it takes time.
And that is precisely why doing nothing is so destructive. Every single year that you wait on the sidelines, you are burning your single most powerful asset for building wealth, time. The magic of compound growth needs a long, long runway to really take off. The longer you wait to get started, the harder it becomes to ever reach your goal.
Okay, so we've laid out all these traps, and it might sound a little bleak. But here's the good news. There are simple, actionable rules you can follow to patch these leaks, avoid the traps, and start filling your own bucket.
It's a really powerful two-part rule. First, pay yourself first. This is non-negotiable. Before you pay rent, before you buy groceries, you automatically transfer 10% of every single paycheck into a savings or investment account. And second, you create a personal luxury tax. Every time you buy something you want but don't strictly need, a new gadget, expensive shoes, whatever, you have to invest an additional 10% of that item's cost. It's a genius system that automates good behavior and forces you to build wealth.
So as we wrap this up, I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Looking at your own life, your own habits, which one of these traps is holding you back right now? Because figuring that out, really being honest with yourself, that's the first step to finally breaking free.